Lights, camera, action. These words are spread out through the world every day while films are being made. Some may be small films or some might be summer blockbusters, yet they might have the same amount of influence on the world. Citizen Kane is arguably the best film ever made and a huge innovator of its time. Many claim to love movies and yet many have not seen it. There was a time in history where almost nobody had seen it. This is that story.
So Citizen Kane was really a landmark film at the time that it was made when it came out. I mean, part of it was you had this young director in his 20s, the first time filmmaker making a movie with complete creative control from the studio RKO that had asked him to make it. So that in and of itself was just something that never happened, that studios just didn't do.
Orson Welles started his career in radio, and at the age of 24 he was given the opportunity to film a movie. Starring himself as the lead actor, the film goes on to tell a story of a man's journey through life using flashbacks and interviews. The film was a large-scale production with very little restrictions. It was a crazy idea at the time to allow this young man to direct it. It finally premiered in New York in 1941 and was a big hit with the audience. The movie went on to be a huge success and brought many new ideas and tactics to the way films are made.
Orson Welles works with his cinematographer on that project, Greg Toland, and they're able to use deep focus photography, and there had been improvements in film stock that enabled it that made it more sensitive to light, and so they could get shots where even the things in the deep background, not just the foreground, were also in focus. Now that doesn't seem like a really big deal to us today in the world of HD, where everything is so in focus that it's more in focus than our eyes can be almost, and it almost doesn't look real. But that was a huge thing in the 1940s.
As a filmmaker, what makes it really significant now in retrospect is its story structure, its plot structure, and the way it completely sort of revolutionizes, the story versus the plot versus the screen time structure. So as a filmmaker, from that perspective, or as a film director, that's a really revolutionary, radical sort of way of making a film. The way the film is told in flashbacks, it's roughly 70 odd years of Kane's life told in roughly 2 hours of screen time, but the plot is only 7 days of a journalist going to find the significance of the word rosebud. And to have 70 years, and even the 70 years of Kane's life are actually told within the first 10 minutes of the film. And then, the rest of the screen time is the 7 days that the journalist tries to interview.
Although the movie went on to be a huge success down the road, it wasn't as successful when it was first released. There was a great debate and argument about the film, specifically coming from William Randolph Hearst. The film seemed to be targeting or telling a story about himself.
Well, first of all, we need to know that Citizen Kane wasn't as successful as a film.
This was a film, Citizen Kane, that is based on that is pretty much the life story of a living American at the time that it's made, a living American media mogul, William Randolph Hearst, who was one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the country, and Orson Welles, this young upstart, really took this guy on. Movies with that kind of approach to subject matter, instead of it just being something that's purely fictional, but but instead a fictionalized account of something that is very, very real. That was in it of itself an extremely bold move that ended up costing Welles quite a bit.
Hearst tried numerous attempts to prevent the film from being seen. He attempted to have the film strip burned, which was unsuccessful. He also paid many theaters to not show the film and threatened to use his newspaper to talk badly about any studio, director, or theater that decided to showcase and talk about the film. In the end, both men suffered deeply. Wells still acted and directed, but was not as successful as he was with Citizen Kane. However, the lasting impact and significance of his film is still admired and talked about today, as it remains #1 on American Film Institute's top 100 films.
Citizen Kane is regarded by most filmmakers, and when they poll filmmakers consistently, it is one of the, if it's not regarded as the greatest film ever made, it is considered one of the top 2 or 3 greatest films ever made, and consistently year after year. So there is the shadow that it casts, even today, all these years later, is still extremely long.
Every time I must have seen it at least 10 other times, so I've probably seen it 20 or 30 times in my life, and if not more, I can't remember. But I have yet to see that film and not discover something new each time. I think I could see that film 150 times and I would, discover something new in that film. So it is, as a film teacher, as a production teacher, it's this endless, textbook of a film for me.
There is a sense, I think, in the film that you watch it, it feels like a strange combination of a film from the 1940s and also very, very modern. Some of the not only in terms of cinematography, but the way that it's edited, the way that the story is told, some of the way that the shots are composed. There's a great deal about it that actually feels very, very contemporary as well.